It's a great relief to have it finished. We're hoping now that we're going to be waterproof through the winter and a little bit warmer.
I mean, all credit to Tommy and Alan. I mean, they worked very, very hard.
The weather was against us at times as well, because we had a lot of rain, didn't we?
Yeah,
So, all conspired against us. It was definitely worth doing, and we're very, very pleased with the results.
Hi, I'm very close to the Welsh border in the Forest of Dean. Well, actually, I'm in a garden very close to the Forest of Dean. My task here today is a real big challenge. Just have a look at this. This detached house has got to have the upper floors completely stripped and reclad with, guess what? New wood, of course. There's also an area of the garden next to the pond that needs some serious attention. But first things first, let's get the scaffolding up on the house. So what do you do, Nick?
I work with computers.
Computer man?
Yes.
Well, this is a bit of a change from computers, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah, get your tools out.
OK.
Yes, because you know what really pleases me about this sort of thing is to get people who normally got soft,
yeah, that's right,
lovely, soft, clean hands, you know, to get stuck in and do a bit of hard collar.
Absolutely.
Now, Alan, what's it like up there, the condition?
This elevation's not bad, but it gets steadily worse as you go down towards the other end.
A bit like me, really. As you get closer to me boots, it's in worse condition. Right, I'll just get it started by just popping it off like that. Watch. Carefully, as I lift.
I'm going to get it down the bottom.
No, you've got to go in the gap.
OK.
That's it, careful, not too strong, that's it. Now I use, once you get it going, you see, you use the other hand. We don't want to damage
the
plywood underneath. You go there, so teamwork. That's it. Now, as I go up, we go along.
Right.
Can you get in?
Yeah.
He's getting it.
Sometime today would be good, Alan.
There you go.
Thank you. Now, as you can see, this is just softwood, OK? Just ordinary softwood. And the problem here is this probably hasn't been pressure treated. That's why the lifespan of it is not as good as it should be. Close. Right, that's the last one on this side. Alan's up top taking out the old fixings, the old nails. So now I'm going to make a start round on the other side. Right, this is lead flashing, which is a weather seal for the windows. Now, in order to take these battens off, we're going to lift this. Just carefully pull it out and push it up. That will allow us to take the battens off, then de-nail it, put the new stuff back on, and then carefully, what we call lead dress this back into place. Now, if you look closely, this is all one piece, but as you can see, this has been exposed to the weather, and this has been sealed under the lead. This is almost perfect, and this is what the weather does to timber if you do not look after it. Hence, we have to take this all off. But what I'm going to put back is much nicer than this anyway. Right, we've removed all the old battens. Now, this plywood is in perfect condition underneath. What I'm doing is, as we pulled off the battens, we might have loosened some of the ply from its original fixings. So I've just tapped these nails on to make sure it's secure. Now, that is the perfect base for our shiplap to fix to. Now, this is a piece of shiplap, and this has all been specially treated, so it's had pressurised waterproof through this. Now, if you have a look at this, that's the shape, and they all lap over one on top of one another. And this is a little rebate. Now, this is perfect for the very first one we're starting with because that forms a natural drip. So as the rain washes down here, goes round there, it can't go up and it can't travel into the building. It will hit that corner and drop off. So therefore, no moisture will get inside the building. Perfect. This is the very first piece to be fixed. Right, Alan, you in line?
Your way, just a touch.
Right.
That's it.
All right, put the first fixing in.
Right.
Lovely. Now we'll level it through. Right, now it's very, very important that the first piece goes on perfectly level. Because if it goes slightly askew, when you look at it from down there, the whole building will be slightly on the angle. It'll look terrible. Now, we have one advantage. Let me just get a fixing in here. Spot on. Well, the one advantage I'm talking about is we have these. And when this was built back in 1989, they only had these, you see. So we should be a hell of a lot quicker than they were. I'll just show you what we're going to do. See this little rebate here? That goes in, that fits right over that, goes down tight, and that covers a nail fixing below. So we secret nail it, but you have to get the nail fairly close to the top. It's much easier than hammering nails, isn't it? Huh? Nick and Nicola live in this modern house built in 1989. The houses on the neighbouring roads are all of a similar style, but theirs is the only one with all this timber cladding.
It's an upside-down house. We've got the lounge, kitchen, dining room upstairs and bedrooms downstairs. We've done a lot of the normal painting and decorating, stripping out wallpaper, repainting, put extra lights in, extra electrics. We've had the kitchen stripped and rebuilt. We haven't done much structural work inside. It's mostly the painting and decorating type of thing.
He's let me do one all on my own. That one is the one that he did. You see it curling out. He's had to go and get the secret nailer to get it back, but I haven't told you that.
With timber, sometimes it curls. There's nothing you can do about that. That was done in the processing of the timber, so we don't want it sticking out like that. So we have another handy tool. It might look like the same as the other one, but this is what we call a secret nailer, and that fires thin breads. And this should just... If I put that on there, and you won't see it. See that? Surprise, surprise, I'm out here in the open and it's pouring with rain. But unfortunately for me, unlike cricket, rain doesn't stop play as far as we're concerned. Does it, Alan?
Afraid not.
And we have to carry on working.
Now, Tommy, are you going to be able to do much today in this sort of weather?
We live in hope. But what we're going to do, because it's raining so hard, we've taken an overall measurement and we're going to trim up all these timbers to size.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take them all round there and go and put them all up together, rather than do each course individually.
OK.
OK?
Yeah.
And then we'll build up that whole facade at the back there.
Right.
And then we'll start on the side.
I'm with you.
But meanwhile, I've got a task for you, because this side here has to be stripped.
Yeah.
So you could strip off the battens on this side.
No problem.
In advance of us.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm sorry it's raining, but I'm not responsible for the weather. All right, mate. Off you go.
All right.
That was a clever little trick of mine, a ruse. Saved me having to do that in the rain. Next piece, please, Alan.
Both ends of these, Tommy, they want cutting. You want me to go out in the wet and get some more boards in?
Yes, that's the apprentice's job.
This is 5 metres and 60.
You know, we haven't got all week for this challenge, you know that, don't you?
This is 3604.
4. That will leave 6. 4 from 10 leaves 6. 7 from 10 leaves.
Tommy.
Okay, yes.
1936.
No. He only knew that because that was the year he was born.
Thank you, sir.
So, this is what they call a lead dresser. They used to be made out of timber, you know, years ago. You can still buy them made out of timber, but they make them out of this sort of heavy plastic now, don't they?
Yeah, it's like a polyprop, isn't it?
Polypropylene, yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you actually dress the lead in. You just tap it in a shape and it spreads the lead to follow the actual shape that you want. They're really quite clever. You good at it?
I've had a bit of practice.
Right, then that's your job. Then off you go. I'm going to cut
right.
some more timber.
When you're doing this, you'll find that if the weather's hot and the lead's hot, it'll dress a lot easier and smooth and flatten out. So just be patient with it and just keep tapping it and knocking it down.
Right, we've got a nice clean finish where the shiplap overlaps the window, but I'd like to give it a nicer trimmed finish, make it look more finished. Now what we've got here is a section of what we call corner capping, and this is used for the external corners on the building. Now if I apply it here, it's a little bit too big, you can fit your finger in it. So I have to cut it down. The perfect fit. We have a problem. In fact, we have a mini disaster. Earlier I set young Nick to start taking all these battens off on this side, but come and have a look. It's an absolute disaster. See what I mean? This is supposed to be marine ply. Look at it. Falling apart. And to add even more problems, we've got fungus growing here. You see? That's really, really bad. We can't have that at all. So the big problem for this here is this is the side, the face that's taken all the weather. Now you've got to remember this house is only 13 years old. No way should this be happening to a 13-year-old house. But what they did, this plywood base, they haven't protected properly, they haven't treated it, number one, and then it hasn't been properly maintained in the time it's been on. And you have an ingression of water, and this is what happens. It looked fine, really, from down below because it was painted. That's probably another cause of the problem, because paint actually traps moisture behind it. It encloses it within, of course, it starts rotting behind. That's why I always prefer to use a preservative on timber that's open to the weather, so it can breathe, it gets wet, but it can get dry. And you don't have all this horrible activity going on behind it. Now, obviously, we never foresaw this problem, so we've got to now strip all this off, and we've also got to strip off all the boards that are fixed underneath it, the structural stuff. Just another dilemma for me. We thought the challenge was going relatively well, but it's never what it seems. Whenever you start a job, it always is, particularly in my case, I have to do 10 other jobs first. And now, hopefully, we can finish this in time. All they put behind this shiplap up here was 4mm ply, which is like tissue paper. Absolutely useless. Remember, this property is only 13 years old. Now, let's have a look and see what we can do here. There you go, right into the roof space. Look at that. Well, it's a nice big loft. One thing in its favour, eh? This is the perfect example of what happens if you have ingression of water. Now, this is the window frame. You can see the water damage has got behind the covering and it's damaged the frame. And if you have a look at the top of the frame here, this is all well rotten. And not only that, it's actually got behind what was the cover and this is actually the stud work to their living room. The other side of this stud work is the plasterboard into the room. So you've only got a covering here, the stud work and the plasterboard with some insulation to keep the room warm. Now, they're very lucky actually that we've managed to discover this in time before they were in for major structural repairs for the property. But you can have a look. This is look at this is the actual structure of the house. Now we've got a major problem trying to rectify this now, but it is rectifiable. You know, we've got to probably cut this damaged stuff back, put a packing piece over the top of it after it's been treated, and then get the new plywood on top. And another reason for the problem is this. You know, I'll just show you what this is like. This is only 9mm ply, okay? And on the upper bits, the top bits, it was only 4mm ply. Hopefully, we can rectify this. But just have another look at that, because you've got to remember, this is the stud work. Here's the insulation. Now, if I just move this out the way, in there, that's the plasterboard. In there, that's the back of the plasterboard. If I punch through that, I'm in the living room. So remember, don't economise on maintenance. Make sure your house or your flat is watertight. All right, Nick, what I want to pull all this off.
Okay.
Because this is all contaminated, this felt, right, with these spores. So we rip all this off, then we can treat the 4x2.
Oh, right, OK.
This is very important because this is a main structural wall. This holds the roof up.
Yeah, you don't want to get
So we'll take all that out.
Right.
Then we'll treat this, and then we'll use 12mm ply to clad it over. We can't use anything too heavy.
No.
But that's 3 times what was on there
already, yeah.
Right, we'll put that on, and then we'll treat that again.
Yeah.
OK, and then over the top of that, we'll put the 25mm shiplap.
So we've got really good waterproof layers.
And then on top of that, you can give it 2 coats of this marvellous new gear.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that is every time you coat it, you're giving it 2 coats at once.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
2 applications gives you 4 coats.
Right.
I'll tell you more about that later. But if you rip all this off, denail it,
Yep.
and then we'll start from scratch.
OK.
Jeez, Tommy, you made a right ruddy mess of that.
Where you been?
I've been hiding around that end. You happened in to see me, I thought you got a bag on with me.
Yeah, having a joke. Look what I've had to do. I mean, when we opened it up, it was rotten as a pear. Well,
do you want a hand with it?
It's very late. Well, what I want to do for tonight, we've got to get this cut and reclad for security reasons. I won't take this lot off until tomorrow, so we'll clad this half, the top half, tonight. If it stays light long enough, and then we'll take this off tomorrow morning and clad that bit. Right, well, this is one of the old 4mm pieces that came off right in the corner. And the reason we've kept it, because we're going to use it as a template to actually cut the new ply out. So we just put it down here, mark each end, take it off, join those 2 points for straight edge, and it must go back in the way it came out. You ready, Al?
Yeah.
Was that your good eye or your bad eye you cut that straight line with?
I haven't got a good eye.
I can see that. Well, we've stripped all this upper part of this main flank wall. Now what we've got to do, where it was in contact with the contaminated plywood and the contaminated felt, we've had to treat all these uprights with a 5-star preservative. Now that'll kill off any infestation, it'll also preserve the timber. Now what we intend to do after that is put new 12mm ply on here, and we'll treat the external face of the ply before applying the shiplap. Now, with a bit of luck, that should really seal this up and avoid any future contamination for many years to come. Oh, lovely jubbly. The very first piece of the new plywood going into position. Come up and give us a hand, Al. That's it, I think that'll do. Who could possibly have imagined that this challenge would turn out the way it has? I mean, I had absolutely no idea that I'd have to take down half a house and rebuild it. But we're not making bad progress, but we've got a very, very long way to go. Do you know what? I've even heard them talking about they'd like a patio. Hi. This has really been quite a challenge for me. So far, we've managed to strip off all the old battens, and then we started fitting the shiplap, and it's turned out pretty good. But we found on the other side that we've got a mini disaster. Remember, this property is only 13 years old. Now, let's have a look and see what we can do here. But more of that later. Now, foolishly, I suggested what they really needed was a viewing platform to look at this lovely new facade to their house. And guess what I've got to do? I've got to build a patio right here. Because the art of it is to not disturb the ground underneath. You want this as firm as possible, and if you dig all this up, then there'll be a bit of settlement. But if you skim it, and then you can lay a mortar bed on top with the slabs, that's all you need to do for foot traffic in the garden. Different if you're going to put a car on it, but if you're just going to walk on it, what I'm doing is more than adequate.
What we're doing here, we've removed all of the timber cladding on the face, and we're now down to the rotten plywood. You can see here, look, it's just gone to nothing, completely rotted away. What we've got to be careful of, though, at the back of all this, we've got the insulation. Now, that keeps the house warm. Now, what you've got on the back of the plywood is this building paper. Now, that stops the sweat, and then the board goes onto the top of the building paper. So you put your insulation in, then your building paper, and then your plywood goes on the top. But what we've got a problem with here is, because this is, I think, probably south-facing, or at least gets all of the afternoon sun, the wood gets hot, the plywood gets hot, it all transfers, and it's sticking to the insulation. So I can't just rip all these boards off. I've got to take them off a bit carefully.
If you're doing this at home, I would recommend that you pick better weather than this to actually lay. But, as usual, I'm an all-weather man. Now, the manufacturer of these was very considerate, because if you look carefully here, you can see the number 2, 2 Roman number 1s, and that means it's a second layer, if you like, and they'll go there. And again, number 2. Yeah, these radiuses, these circles, are specially made, and you have to put the slabs down in the right sequence. If you don't, you get in all sorts of trouble. So, if it's the first time you've ever laid them, lay the whole thing out dry on the floor first. The centrepiece, lay them all out without any mortar, making sure you get it right. And if they're not numbered like these are, number them on the back, so that when you actually come to pick them up, put the mortar down, and then relay them. It's easy peasy, just like a jigsaw with the answers already supplied.
That's the last one of that load, Timmy.
That's the last one?
Yeah.
You got the next one ready?
No.
Now listen, I'm not going to tell you this again. You'll get the sack. The art of a good labourer is to have one already prepared.
I'm on my way.
So I'm very, very fast now. I'm on the run. Go on.
All right.
All right, Al. While Nick's away making me a bit more mortar, I thought I'd come and see how you get...
Look at this.
Struth. Oh, that is bad. I mean, that's eaten over halfway into the timber there.
Yeah, we've got to take it all off as well.
This is the
chop
main...
it all back. You can break it away with your fingers, look at it.
Oh, yeah. This is the main structure. I mean, that's the living room.
Yeah,
Plasterboard
and then you're in the house.
Well, we can't leave it like this. What about if we... Actually, we could cut this in, cut all the bad stuff out, even though in parts are going to be halfway in, and we could splice in new tannelised or pressure-treated timber over the top.
Well, you could do, but...
Cut them down on the saw, and then treat the wood, the affected wood, once you cut out all the rot.
Yeah.
And then fix it over that and pack it out to match up with the rest.
Well, you can do it either way, but what I was going to do was let the timber in, have the timbers cut to not quite the full depth of these studs, and then fix them to the good part of the stud, bringing them forward. Still chop out all the rot. Do you get what I mean?
So cut all this back and fit new studs in parallel to these.
Yeah.
So oh, that's even better. That's a better idea than mine, that is. I had to take me... You've been thinking, haven't you, about this?
I have, yeah. Take me all day, but I thought about that one.
You ready for two more, Tommy?
Bring them up and you can put them, start tipping them out on the outer ring.
Yeah.
But to treat all these uprights with a 5-star preservative. Now, that'll kill off any infestation. It'll also preserve the timber. We've got to give this a real good soak, haven't we, Al?
Yeah.
This is where you've scarfed all the bad stuff out, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, this is pressure treated, isn't it, this?
This stuff is, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. This is...
Well, before you punch it home, you'll flush this side, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so if we attach, you want to attach that?
Yeah.
I'll look away while you attach it.
Right. Now we've just got one piece.
You get that piece.
To the outside. And that goes right up to the top.
Do you want to use my hammer? I only take one whack.
Go on then. Hit it with yours.
Here you go. You get the straight edge.
Yeah.
Now, what we're trying to do is, because this has all been rotten and we've cut it away, this new piece of timber we're putting in is going to carry, it's going to take the sheets of ply. So this piece of timber has to be the same level as that. So we'll use this spirit level as a straight edge across there, and if I keep tapping it in,
Go on. Go on.
Big Al here will tell me when it's in the right position.
You're about another... That's it.
Right. Now, if you have a look at this, see how much this is projecting past the old damaged stuff. But we can fix a new... We'll fix this to the good part of the old timber, and then when we put the plywood on, we've got somewhere for it to fix. And it'll be nice and flush on the outside to take our shiplap. Right, Nicola, this is the latest bit of gear.
Right.
OK. Now, I'm going to open this up and show you, but the good thing about this is it's a special what they call high solid. So when you actually apply this, and it's in the colour you want, which is rose, when you actually apply this, when you give it one coat, you're actually giving it 2 coats.
Right.
Now, this is micro-porous, this stuff. So when you actually apply it on, and it goes off. It allows the wood to breathe. So if moisture gets in, it can come back out and it still seals it, okay? You see, the problem with the spirit-based products, they release high emissions into the atmosphere, so they're a bit really unfriendly to the environment. Whereas this one, this new product, is a sort of compromise between the two. It works efficiently like a spirit-based one, but it releases far less emissions into the atmosphere. So I think this is the ideal compromise between the two.
I'll go up and start painting. Great.
Make sure you don't knock this over.
So I've only got a little bit of painting to do then.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I've only got the rest of that.
Oh, no, that's not true. You know. Get Nick to help you. If you don't feel confident about DIY, don't worry about attempting this. They're all pre-made, so you can't go wrong. It really is very simple to do. And I'm just adding this set of pavios around the outside just to pretty it up a little bit. And it's very fast to do. I'll have this done in no time at all.
How's it going, Tommy? That's looking good.
I'm nearly there.
How do you know when you're going to get the right spacings, when you come to the last brick, then?
Ah, now, see, that's a very carefully worked out scientific calculation. And years of experience with a very good eye. I'm not sure which one, but a very good eye. And I must admit, it amounts wholly to a very large slice of luck.
He's honest, isn't he?
All we have to do now is let this go off, let it set, and then we have to grout it. And I'll show you how to do that. There's a few tricks up my sleeve yet. But really, on the whole, it's a very simple and straightforward job. Anyone can have a crack at it. I wish the rest of this job was as simple as that. I better go give Al a hand. Why don't you come and have a look and see just how we're doing? Now, the plot so far, my challenge is to reclad the top elevation of this house with shiplap. Now, everything was going fine until we came to this side. This is the side that faces the weather. And there was terrible problems with ingression of water on this side. It actually got through the cladding on the outside and caused major damage to the structure inside. So when we stripped off the plywood, we had to repair the structure inside, treat it with preservative, and then reclad it with new ply on the outside. That's before we could even put the shiplap on. Now, we've put the shiplap on, we're about a third of the way up, and Nicola has painted it, and she's made a very good job of it, I must say. Now, the question is, will we finish? I don't know, to be quite honest. Alan, what do you think? Will we finish?
Walk in the park.
I love a man who's confident. Let me hold that for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you level on there?
Yep.
Right.
Just check.
Spot on there, then.
Very important tip. When you're doing this, make sure you check your levels every now and again, just to make sure you're not running out. OK, Al?
Yeah. Now I'll cast it further down.
Al, how are the levels? Are they all right?
Yeah, spot on.
Right, now, look, it looks like it's going to pour with rain. So can I leave you to get on with this? Because I want to point the patio before it gets wet.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
The grouting process. Firstly, give it a quick sweep over with a stiff broom. Get all what we call the snots off. Now, I'm going to give you a very good tip. Take a watering can with water. Remove the rose, you don't need that. And in the joints, you pour water, copious amounts of water. It doesn't matter if your hand's a bit unsteady and you get a little bit of splashing. OK. Now, you're supposed to pick a very hot day. British summers, a bit risky, but the idea, if you soak it plenty of water and you leave it for about an hour before you actually point it, then the water on the surface of the slabs will evaporate, but it will still be very wet in the joints. And when you apply the pointing mixture, which is very, very dry, it's 3 parts soft sand, 1 part cement, you sweep it in and force it in with your hands, That then will soak the water up. And you rub a jointer or a bit of hose over it, and that'll give you the shape, and that also draws the water up. You get a wet joint, and you don't get a single stain on the slab.
It's a big house, it's an unusual design, it's got all this lovely wood cladding around it now. The garden needed quite a bit of remodelling. We wanted to make it nice and maintenance-free, so hence why we've now got a lot of gravel at the back. We sourced the sleepers, we moved them all in, we got all the gravel delivered, and I've tried to keep the planting nice and simple so that we've got very minimalist planting. I'm not very good with plants, I have to say, so the fewer we've got, the better. They've got a better chance of surviving. What we've learnt from Tommy is have a sense of humour, never give up, you can all sort things out, and have the right tools, never economise either, just isn't worth it. You know, buy the best that you can afford and make sure it lasts, and then you can sit back and relax and enjoy the fruits of your labour, as they say.
This is the grouting mix, which is 3 parts soft sand, 1 part cement, and it must be very dry, otherwise you'll stain the slabs. Now all you have to do is pour it, someone like that. Okay, now I would advise you at home to wear gloves. My hands are so rough it doesn't really matter anymore. But then you take the mixture and you force it in with your hand into the joints, okay? That's it. Force it round like that. And that way you fill all the crevice up and there's no gaps. And that stops the ants running all over the place, making tunnels. So when you're lying on it, having a nice bit of suntan, you've got a nice long cocktail alongside you, it won't be full of ants. Now, what you need... Now, this is another good little thing. Brooms, they're always falling off the handles. Now, this one, you just have 1 shaft, and you can have about 6 different heads. And when you want to change it, you just do that. See? And you put different heads. You only need 1 broom handle. You sling that to one side. You need a soft broom head, and you just pull it over like that. Moving it round. Now, I happen to have the advantage of having a jointer. That's what it is, you see. There's 2 different width sizes there. You can buy these, but you don't need one. You can use a bit of copper pipe and bend it over, or you can, while the missus is not looking, take a bit of hose pipe, cut a piece off of it, and then what you do, you use that to rub over the joint like that. And that gives it the shape, and it also draws the moisture up. And in about 15 minutes, half an hour, you'll have a nice wet mortar joint between these slabs and not a stain to be seen anywhere. Right, now if you have a look, you can see where this joint has got wet. It's drawn the moisture up. So you just run that round here and you get the perfect wet joint without any stains. And only just in time because it's beginning to pee down with rain. Loads left to do, but at least we've got an assembly line in production here. Come on, guys.
you.
Yeah, next one, Nicola.
Top. There you are, Tommy.
And then we're going to go for a right and left-hander in one, 750mm long.
Rightio.
Have I got that measurement right? Now this is the very last piece on this flank. It's given us loads of aggravation, and I'm so glad to see this going. Here, come and watch this come all the way in. The very last piece goes right in there, right up into these, in there like that. The perfect fit. That's it. I'm off. I've had enough. Well, I'm absolutely cream crackered. Let's just recap on what we've done. Now, look at this lovely patio here. Now, this is a viewing deck, you see, for these two people to sit there in the glorious sunshine and look at their totally renovated new house. Look at it. Absolutely marvellous. All reclad. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me, guys. Now, I just want to ask you, are you happy?
Over the moon. Yeah,
Delighted.
absolutely brilliant.
Delighted.
Yeah, it's a transformation.
150% improvement.
Brilliant.
150.
Marvellous.
At
Great
least.
colour. Yeah, great colour, great finish. Fantastic workmanship.
You're really happy?
Absolutely.
We are
Yeah,
really
definitely.
happy.
I've got something I've got to ask you. The next time you have a problem, don't ring me.
No, we weren't
I'll
going
ring
to.
you, okay?
We weren't going to. You wanted a challenge.
Yes, I want a challenge. And the next challenge I want someone to ask me to come and cut the grass and sweep the patio. And I can sit down with a nice cold beer. So, till the next time, goodbye.
It's a great relief to have it finished. We're hoping now that we're going to be waterproof through the winter and a little bit warmer.
I mean, all credit to Tommy and Alan. I mean, they worked very, very hard.
The weather was against us at times as well because we had a lot of rain, didn't we?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So, but all conspired against us. It was definitely worth doing, and we're very, very pleased with the results.